like to announce that many people have asked us about the proceedings, not the recording, not the proceeding, but recording. Yes, the conference is recorded, and we will provide a Zoom link at the end of the conference. Few days after the conference, you will receive attendees and panelists, of course, the link to download the entire conference. I hope, because depends by the cloud and by many other factors, but we are thinking positively that we will have the entire conference recorded and available for people that have no possibility to attend the meeting. Yeah, and we have 560 attendees until now, so it's growing day after day. So it's time for David. David, please.
Thank you, Almo. Let me share my screen.
We are in perfect time, so.
Thank you indeed. Okay, can you see my screen? Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Good. So good morning to everybody, good afternoon, good evening. I would first like to thank you, Almo Farina, for the really immense work you personally did in organizing this Congress. We are all in now. I would also like to say that the continuation of the artistic stream of ecoacoustic with the entire program of concerts and installation curated by Leah Barclay, Susan Fuller, and all the organizers of the past Congress in Brisbane could not be put in place for this Congress for the reasons that you imagine. We hoped until the end to be able to do it in presence in Urbino. And when we realized that it was not possible, even after waiting a full year, it did not seem appropriate to try to do some kind of hybrid artistic event online. So I hope in the next ecoacoustic meeting, the interdisciplinary aims of our society can also have a program where sound is experienced live through the lenses of artistic inspiration. My presentation will indeed focus on the venue that would have mainly hosted us in Pesaro, a city near Urbino, for listening sessions of ecosystems, pure ecosystems, ecoacoustic visualizations, and concerts. And I want to dedicate this talk to my direct colleague, Professor Eugenio Giordani, who passed away for a COVID illness just when we were starting to organize things for this Congress in Pesaro in the beginning of 2020. Before entering the presentation, let me play you a short video which summarizes the interdisciplinary long-term project Fragments of Extinction, for which the Sonosphere was conceived and finally built. So,
at the beginning of the current extinction crisis, the paleo choirs of the natural world are undergoing silent but real and lasting damage. The sonic structures that evolution produced over millions of years of interspecific acoustic adaptation are rapidly declining. Within the near future, it may not be possible to witness them at all in their original form. Fragments of Extinction is an interdisciplinary project which includes research, technology innovation, conservation of soundscape heritage, and environmental sound art. Its aims include the collection, scientific study, and playback of high-definition 24-hour portraits of the world's undisturbed primary equatorial forests. These sound portraits are shared with broad audiences through sonospheres, immersive theaters with the highest three-dimensional audio definition, to create awareness on the importance to protect these last ecosystems of biodiversity.
So, today, even in strictly protected areas, with the silent force of climate change, potentially all undisturbed ecosystems are subjected to the damage of their species composition. Thus, their original acoustic integrity. Fragments of Extinction calls for urgent 3D audio samples of primary equatorial lowland forests for several reasons. First of all, sound heritage, and then outreach. So sound heritage for a digital archive of paleo and mega diverse soundscapes to pass on to future generations. And outreach recordings made available for 3D listening in present days, for science dissemination, for immersive experiential learning, and to use the power of natural sound to raise awareness on the biodiversity crisis. The project workflow, of course, entails different phases: fieldwork in the tropics, as you've seen, data analysis, dissemination of findings, soundscape, post-production, and installations in museums. So from the project surveys in 1998, from 1998 to 2001 in Europe, North and South America and Africa, the first recording campaign done for recording entire circadian cycles continuously was done in the Amazon in 2002 and 3. And then the first campaign with the emerging 3D technology in Africa in 2008, and then Borneo and then Amazon. And hopefully, when it will be possible and safe to travel, Borneo again and West Papua. Given the time limits, I prefer to show images and comment them. So this image is the recording camp, which is actually shows you that these recordings are not unsupervised, but the microphone systems are usually placed at 75, 100 meters from the operator, which is usually myself. This image is also important because it lets you understand that it reminds me actually that the best recordings that we have carried out, it was because of the natives, the help of the natives, in order to find the right spot where to record. It's very important where you decide to put a three-dimensional microphone system in the forest. If you're not equidistant from all species, if you don't reach a good perspective in things, you cannot communicate that marvelous balance, equilibrium that a rainforest, a primary forest, is able to imprint in the sonic world. This is another image that reminds me that recordings are also done in movement. This is a flooded forest in the Amazon, and we were able, within a 2-hour continuous recording, to really go through certain parts of the habitat, and the soundscape was shifting continuously. And you have this 2-hour recording, which literally has thousands of species inside. This is a night recording of with the same systems. And you can see here how the technology, the day before living, it's a lot of stuff. And there is a reason for that. We've been experimenting. We've been working in the field with dozens of microphone techniques. And I propose the categorization of them under 3 different families. Space-selective families are unidirectional and enable you to isolate certain part of the soundscape for certain uses. Space-inclusive are instead record the entire spherical soundscape, but they are only able to be reproduced over planar systems of reproduction, like the standards that we have, like quadraphony, Dolby Surround 5.1. Those are planar systems. So the sphere of sound is squished, is compressed in a planar sound reconstruction. And the space-preservative spherical recordings, where the entire spherical information is stored to be then decoded in specific spherical loudspeaker arrays. The recordings are continuous, 24-hour, and we use 4 or 5 systems, 3 or 4 systems at a time, a 32-channel system, a 4-channel, a 2-channel system for several uses simultaneously. And the recordings are done in high frequency rates and high quantization, like 4896 kilohertz and 24 bits, giving a total amount of data, which is actually quite high, half terabyte, between half and 1 terabyte for a single 24-hour recording session. So I leave completely out here the part related to the analysis and the ecoacoustic studies carried out for the project Fragments of Extinction. But all the analytical methods that we have in ecoacoustics are also beautiful visual tools to show people what is ecological integrity, for example, and why it is important to preserve it. In order to let people enter the fragile beauty and equilibrium of these natural soundscapes, a specific space was required, a space that could preserve the 3D sonic characteristics of the recorded ecosystem, like direction, distance, perspective between sources, and dimension of each sound gesture coming from soniferous species. To the same, I have first designed in 2008 the Ecoacoustic Theater, a geodesic facility capable of reproducing full periphonic spherical audio, connected to a circular 360 degrees real-time projection of spectra or temporal and spatial attributes with real-time analysis of that. In this acoustic planetarium, visuals are used exclusively to reveal the intelligent structure of soundscapes. So is a reverse of the cinematic experience where visuals are something that carry meaning and audio is commenting that. The music is a comment, usually. Here, we try to reverse that and to put audio at the first place and use visual to comment that. So collaborations are welcome to implement visualizations or of ecologically relevant processes, and contact me if interested. This project went into an Italian patent and an international patent in 2014. We had to do that. This ecoacoustic theater is equipped with, this is the final design, is equipped with an array of equally spaced loudspeakers, all equidistant from the center, an array of projectors depicting the sonic history of the soundscape and the sitting system to optimize and focus the audience toward the center, where the precise 3D sound reconstruction occurs, thus permitting listeners an intimate experience of being in a rainforest. Imagine now silent spaces of complete darkness in our cities, which people can enter just to experience the sound of remote ecosystems, would such meditative cognitive activity help us to reconnect with the intangible heritage and vanishing essence of the biosphere? The theater as a geodesic facility is completely scalable. This is the first implementation that we were able to put in place to build and we opened in 2013 at my institution, the Conservatory Rossini in Pesaro. It's a research studio and a listening hall for soundscape studies and ecoacoustics. This is the first mobile prototype, same dimension, a little bit less seats, same number of loudspeakers and screens. We opened that in 2015 at the Excite conference. And finally, this is the first stable implementation of large scale. It's a 16-meter diameter, 200 seats maximum, permanently open to the public in 2017 at the Naturama Natural History Museum in Svendborg, Denmark. You can see here some engineering sketches, some photographs of the place. There's always spectrograms because in photographs, they are very beautiful, but of course, not only spectrograms are showed in the screens. And finally, the first mobile large-scale space, we opened that to the public in December 2019, is a 9.5 meter diameter, 60 seats. And we did that with the UNESCO City of Music of Pesaro. Here you can see the seating system is a double cavea, like an amphitheater, and is completely transparent to the sound. So it opens up also the lower hemisphere, which eventually happened to be quite important for recordings in the forest that are done at a certain height. We usually record at between 5 and 7 meters of height in order to have a good perspective also of ground species. And so in this sonosphere, the reconstruction is almost perfect. It weighs a lot, unfortunately. It's 14 tons, but it's 2 trucks, and it can be dismantled and rebuilt in the different museums with 5 days of work. It's a 43+2 loudspeakers, and the screens here are 23K of horizontal resolution in an almost perfect internal acoustics in the entire 20K spectrum. And also the spatial reconstruction is almost perfectly isotropic. So we built the loudspeakers specifically for soundscape. We tried many components, and we arrived to certain components that are really very well reconstructing the soundscape, the complexity of a soundscape, which is very different from music and from other sound contents. Here is the inauguration with David Sassoli, the president of the European Parliament. And so the content depends from the approaches. Of course, there is an immersive content, which is pure immersion and experience in total darkness of ecosystems. There is an educational one, where we can put in place all we know from ecoacoustics and show that in real time to people. And a creative one where we can put an electroacoustic performance which integrates the available niches that soundscape leaves free to integrate. But let me conclude with just a personal reflection. When I started this project in 1998, it wasn't clear that the destruction of the natural world will have gone so fast. Nowadays, even if we have collected entire circadian cycles of extremely high definition 3D soundscape recordings, some of them still to be explored in the lab and played back to audiences, and finally in the perfect facility of the Sonosphere, I ended up doing in there a simple educational program on climate change and the urgent global ecological transition needed for helping this desperate last-second paradigm shift of the anthropocentric view of the planet. From the climatic projection and scenarios that today we all know about, the entire biosphere as we know it seems just at the tipping point and will not succeed if the great majority of individuals of this planet will not be supported for their intimate leap of awareness. From what I have seen personally over these last 9 years of listening sessions in ecoacoustic theaters, sound is one of the most powerful mediums to reconnect humans to the environment. It is able to move deep emotional energies and the ones that we need to feel the urgency and to make the daily choices and sacrifices will all be called for over the next decades. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David, for your fantastic presentation. You have created a unique opportunity to, to approach in so complete way the sonic environment. There is a question from Sandra Müller. Can you read it by yourself, David, or?
Exit the...
Okay. The question is, could fragments of extinction also be booked and played in planetarium?
Planetariums are built for visuals. Audio is only the second thing. There are many you have to put in place for passive internal acoustics of spaces and for active acoustics, electroacoustics of loudspeakers and of technologies to treat three-dimensional sound. Planetariums are not usually equipped with that, but with existing standards into the planetariums, definitely it can be, let's say, decoded for the system that you find. It's definitely not the same thing. In the Sonosphere, you almost touch the sound. In the complete darkness, you really have the feeling that those insects, those individuals or amphibians are out there near you at 4 meters from you. It's let's say, after all this 20 years of trials, of projects, it opens really a new oral dimension, what's going on there. But definitely for dissemination opportunities, also planetariums are valid to use.
Okay, there are some comments, several comments from the panelists, I think, that remain enthusiastic about. Very amazing, Valerio Mazzoni, wonderful project, Christopher Thibault, and this amazing Viral Joshi, Marco Gamba, imaginative, inspiring, truly scientific. Thanks a lot. So I think that I have a suggestion, David. It's really important to document also the soundscape, or better, the sonoscape of boreal and temperate region, especially old growth forest remnants like in Casentino in central Italy. Because it's my impression that in tropical area there are so many species, of course, but in our environment, some species are so loudly, are use so energy, seasonal energy in singing, that these patterns could be very attractive as educational tool for students as well. So this is just a suggestion, but you are...
Let me comment your suggestion, yeah. Comment your... definitely yes. Why not coral reefs? Why not putting three-dimensional hydrophones under the Antarctic for those, also for those we had to prioritize. When I started, we had to prioritize on terrestrial, and on those soundscapes in terrestrial habitats where, of course, the biodiversity is higher, and hopefully also the ecosystems are older. So paleotropics are actually our most important focus now. Find a spot of high biodiversity in the paleotropics, because what we wanted to trace as priority, because there's no time, Almo. Things are very fast out there. What we wanted to trace was the original imprint of the acoustic intelligence of nature. And that's in a tropical old growth, well, primary and old paleotropical forest. You can really tap into the mechanisms of evolution, of oral evolution, of acoustic evolution. So that's what's our priority. But definitely, yes, I would have hoped to be able to build the Sonosphere not after 10 years, but after less years, in order to be able now to concentrate on putting up equips, teams of people to go and record with this technology in different spots, also in temporal, also in our forests. Why don't we do something with our forest? Yes, definitely yes. But we had to do a priority, to have a priority on that. And of course, when you open up your ears, your microphones in a tropical forest with high integrity, I mean, that's immediately clear that you are in front of allies. This morning was saying the natives, they consider the symphony of their forest. We are in front of that, and taking to the inspirational for also from all of us of Bernie Krause. We are in front of the symphony. Yes, that's the most organized symphony. There are other symphonies, definitely, yes, that are that waits to be recorded and experienced, definitely.
Thank you. There are other questions from Tom Hull, Tania Rubio, and Federico Martuscello, but I think that the time is very restricted. So because there is also a workshop from.
Maybe I can respond over the chat.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Can you stop your sharing screen? Thank you very much. Okay, David.